Okay, gonna do some computering up in here today. So, one of the last things I need to do is kind of incorporate my ram air system. So the tubes are in place, the scoops are obviously there. Now I've got to tie these 2 points back to the throttle body. How might you do that? Well, I've seen a number of different solutions. I've seen some that take it down, cut these off right here, pull it down into a box in the front. Those are all pretty cool. I saw this, and near as I can tell, this was a project done by Hot Rod Garage, and this is exactly what I'm looking to do. So I'm going to try to implement something very similar. Of course, you can't buy this. Doesn't seem to be available, isn't anywhere. So I am going to go ahead and build it. Now, the first thing I need to do, however, and try to get my head around this, is I've got to scan the bottom of this hood to get this into CAD. And I am going to try to do that now, get this kind of lined up. Then I can calculate and figure out how high my pan will be over the motor, and I'll show you how I do that. But first things first, I'm going to try to get this scanned and get this into CAD, see what happens. Okay, let's give this a shot. When it's green, it's happy. I think if I hit this button again, I'm scanning. Too close. Come on. Lost it. Okay. Close. I'm going to start again. All right, that might be as good as I'm going to get it. I hit another scan to pick up these bottom screw holes here and here, because they're kind of in a weird place. So I think with that, I can do what I need to do. Except I want to get rid of that little, sometimes it puts things out in space like this stuff right here, but we'll clean that up. But first of all, pretty happy with that. That's okay-ish. Not the best scan ever, but it's a really complicated piece and very hard to hold everything flat to it. So, next step, yeah, you can even see the glue that's adhering the hood to the frame. That's pretty neat. And I've got my heights right. I think it does show me that this is going to have to be cut. But, okay, I'm going to generate a point cloud now and go with that. Pretty good size scan. Not the biggest I've done by far, but this might take a minute. I've got an atrocious amount of memory in this machine, so it should handle it. Come on, baby. You can do it. You can do it. 86. Uh-oh. That's not good. Nope, 96. Okay, we're back in business. Okay. It even tries to throw the color in there, which is kind of unnecessary. There we go. That's a little easier to see. It struggles with black. It really does. But that's okay. So I've got a point cloud now. Gonna save it. I'm gonna call it, oops, cancel. Let's save it. We're gonna call it Hood Scan 2. All right. Okay, let me see if I can generate the other model and I'll get this into CAD. All right, I had to rescan that. I went much slower watching the screen as I went, and I was able to get a much better scan of the underside of the hood. Except around the hinges, but we don't care about that. So that's a pretty solid scan. I'm pretty happy with that. What I'm trying to do, however, is figure out how I can verify my planes here. Okay, that took a minute, but I finally got this into CAD on a plane that makes somewhat sense. Excuse me. So now I'm going to take that and work in the pieces that I need to use. And let me grab those and I'll bring you right back. Okay, got updates. So I found this other tool that allowed me to take my scan and take some measurements, do all that, and put it on the proper plane. Great, finally. I've been all day at this. Then I was able to bring it into SolidWorks and got it on the plane. Everything looks good. I just threw some pins in here to simulate and easily display where the bolt holes are for the air pan, the hood pan. And it's a weird shape. I mean, nothing is square. Everything is this big oblong mess in here. So I've been trying to figure out how best to do this. And near as I can tell, this is where I'm at. So brought that over to a different assembly. And of course, when you bring it into assembly, you start to lose detail. So, but it'll start to become clearer here in a second. So I made these 3 parts, 3D printed them. And basically what they do is they take that hood scoop tube, run it down and deflect it straight down over something, okay? Now, the idea being that we're going to then, you have to put a, well, let me just throw these in. Then there's a plate that goes over that assembly and holds it all down, or up in this case. And you can see I've modeled up a plate and kind of simulated where my holes should be. I'm gonna need some adjustment there just to keep this tight. So I probably won't cut those holes to start with, but we'll see. Anyway, so that's kind of what the assembly will look like on the bottom of the hood, all right? Now, Under the hood, the assembly is going to look something like this. Let me get the other one out. So I've bought 4-inch elbows and pieces, straights, to build this assembly out of aluminum. All right. Then I get up into here and I'm going to have to build this airbox. But the idea is this airbox will sit on top of the motor, connected back to the throttle body. Then I will probably fasten it down just to the fuel rails, because there's some nice little tabs on the top of the fuel rails I could grab. But the idea being, I could take this, mount that down, then use this as the filter. So it's just a K&N air filter lid, but use this as the total filter by sitting right down over that assembly. So, and then on the outer edge, there'll be a foam seal up to this plate. Come on. There we go, sorry. Okay, so there'll be a foam seal that runs up around the outside of the air filter here that will pick up this plate up here. I'll want to bead roll some stuff into this plate, kind of make it a little less ugly. Not exactly sure how I'm going to fabricate this yet. This circle here represents the foam seal. We'll be out about that far. So, and unfortunately, the holes are way up here. Yeah, they're, you know, it's great. So, I think what I'm going to do is I'm not going to cut this plate, obviously, until I get the air ram set up in the hood. But I can fabricate this plate, I can fabricate this box, get this ready to go. And I won't weld in this piece of tubing here until such time that I can verify the exact location of this, just to be safe. I believe I have about an extra inch of clearance in here. Might not be that much in the end, but it's gonna be close. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. Gonna start, I've taken underneath the hood and I just stretched some tape around the bolt holes, and you can see the way that hood's designed, there's just nothing uniform about it. And you know, which is part of the issue. Let me see if I can't tilt that back a little more for you. There we go. So part of the issue is, you know, this hood just has this screwy design under it. I don't get it, but whatever. Sorry. Cut, bring it back. Yeah, this hood just has a screwy design for the bracing underneath, and it's like, not really sure why anybody would do that, but I guess they just didn't care all that much. So this is what I've come up with so far. I'm gonna start fabricating I can fabricate the metal pan right now. The 3D printed parts will be done soon, like next week, hopefully. So this will take a few weeks probably before this is all complete. But I just kind of wanted to take you through the design process here and what I had to do to scan that hood in, you know, build my 3D parts, and then the next step is going to be to start to fabricate that pan. Unfortunately, I have altered it so much, I've got to redo all the files for that too. So, anyway, yeah, that's kind of where we're digging on it. I will, I'll bring you back when I'm ready to start making pieces, I guess. But that's kind of the design phase for it. I've gone through and done a number of calculations as far as how much clearance I have from the top of the intake to the top of the hood. And it's about 5.5 inches as it stands right now. So it's gonna be close, gonna be very close, but we will, it'll all fit. I'll be able to work it in. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna start to, I'm gonna look at this plate, see if I could do something to make that a little more appealing, less awkward. I wish there was some way to make it at least symmetrical under that hood, but there's just really not. I could try to fill that entire odd shape there under the tape, but that just seems a little silly. But either way, I'm gonna keep plugging at this, and I'll come up with a solution. Okay, so that's about as good as I can make that look. It's still wonky, but it'll do. So let me recap here. I'll probably roll some beads into this and make it somehow a little more appealing, but I did cut in some lettering up here. I think will help make it slightly less ugly. Anyway, let's just hide this for a sec. And here are the component parts. I've got the two horns that come out of the tubes. I've got the center section that redirects the air down. And then I have the plate that holds it all up. And that all should work fine. If it doesn't, well, we'll regroup. Like I said, I'm gonna roll some beads in this or make some depressed areas or something just to kind of make it look a little more appealing, but that's where that stands. So after this, that's all fine. Then I'm gonna move over and start fabricating this next week. Like I said, this is gonna take a few weeks to get this done, just because there's some pieces that the printing is still happening. But yeah, I'm in good shape. I bought some aluminum tube here I bought some 4-inch aluminum tube to fabricate these elbows. I got a 180, I got a 90 in a straight section. I will build a plug to kind of seat into the end of it to get it squashed down to where I want it. But yeah, that should work nicely. Then I'll push it through, weld it up, and then cut it off internal to the pan. But first things first, I'm gonna start by building the pan next week. Should have some of that video available for you. We'll probably cut this ram air plate next week as well. Get some of that ready to go. And like I said, probably gonna have to get creative on how I locate these holes precisely, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So yeah, that's pretty much wraps it up for the design phase. Again, I did all of this in SolidWorks. I have to then convert it into Fusion so I can cut it on the CNC. SolidWorks does not have a CNC G-code output for plasma cutters, near as I can tell. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, I don't know. I just use Fusion. Just tends to be a little easier for me. I shouldn't say that. If I had the CNC add-on for SolidWorks, I would definitely use it. But anyway, that's kind of how this is all laying out. I hope this helps somebody. Again, this wasn't a very exciting fabrication video, but at the end of the day, you got to plan for some of this stuff, and this is this is a good explanation for how I designed it. And again, I got a hold of the ends of the tubes with some little elbows here. I call the horns, and I feed those into the center section. And in the center section, this is all 3D printed plastics. And in the center section, I redirect the air straight down. On top of the pan that I'm going to build there is this filter. It's a K&N oiled filter. You clean it, it's cleanable. This should work really good. And then around this filter, around this edge here, I will seal that up with some, there's a very thick Moroso air filter foam that will work quite nicely for that, I believe. So that's my plan. I'm gonna wrap this video up here. I think it was, again, I spent a lot of time designing this. I got a lot of hours into it yesterday. Kind of ran into some tool difficulties with the scanner. It took me a little more longer to get a good scan than I thought it would, but you know, if you just go slow and steady with the scanner, it works really nice. So for some reason, my hood loses all definition when I bring it back in, but I don't understand. SolidWorks gets a little finicky when parts are big like this. So I know it's not a perfect scan, but it has all my relative points. And if you look at the way this fits on the hood right now, I can dog ear this up a little bit on these two ears and get up over that hump. So that's kind of the way I designed it. I might put a return here in the front just to kind of close up some of the gap that'll be right underneath this front edge. It's really hard to see with this, but there's a section here that would gap. So I might put a return edge on that just to make it nice, or I might just roll an edge. I don't know. We'll see. And I'll probably flare this up with a radius roller too right here at the horn. So anyway, the fabrication will be more interesting, I promise, but at the end of the day, you gotta design this stuff before you can build it. If you just wing it, well, who knows what you're gonna get. You'll end up compromising. So I like to see how everything fits and looks before I do it. The underside of this hood is so odd. I don't know why Pontiac did that, or I'm sure Chevrolet did the same thing, but none of this stuff is uniform under here or symmetrical. It's just bizarre. So anyway, that'll wrap it up for this one. I'm going to, got some other stuff I got to do today. Snow tires, got to take them off my son's car, and we've got a bunch of things to do. So I'm going to get this stuff put away and cleaned up and get ready to do that exercise. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, tell your friends, family, your family's family. Who cares? Later.